every morning I wake up, I drink coffee from this mug, and I read. Part of my routine, I do this every day. So I thought I'd give you guys a window into my routine and also try to give you a bit of value as well. So the book I'm reading today is by Seth Godin, who is one of the most prolific marketers ever. I mean, he's so famous to nerdy people like me that if you just type in Seth on Google, Seth Godin shows up, which is fucking awesome. Imagine being that well known, right? Type in Raymond and I pop up. That's a dream. The book is called All Marketers Are Liars. The reason I chose this book is because over the last few days, I've been talking about having a strong online presence and marketing versus going on tour, and what I think is a more, which of those options I think is more efficient when it comes to growing a project, especially a new project. Obviously, my inclination was towards online marketing, and my inclination still leans that way. But this book is about marketing and why it's important and how to do it better. And I think it's quite good. I mean, this book's probably sold millions of copies. So anyway, I'll get into it. Does marketing matter? When you think of marketing, do you think of whisk, Super Bowl commercials, or perhaps an annoying yet catchy slogan? Do images of used car salesmen pop into your head? Or worse, do you think of relentless spam and clueless telemarketers? Marketing has become far more than an old lady crying, "Where's the beef?" Stuff like that is just a tactic. Now, I'm going to go off script here a lot. Every time I say something like company or business, just substitute that for like band. And I'm also going to change some stuff like this. Where's the beef? There's references in here that you're not going to get because most of you guys are too young. Me too. But this sort of where's the beef thing, it's like big things coming soon. So marketing has become far more than a band bro crying, big things coming soon. Stuff like that is just a tactic. I'm also going to point out things that I highlight. Marketing is about spreading ideas, and spreading ideas is the single most important output of our civilization. I highlighted that. It's actually in bold in the book, but then I also highlighted it. Marketing is about spreading ideas, and spreading ideas is the single most important output of our civilization. Hundreds of thousands of Sudanese have died because of bad marketing. Religions thrive or fade away because of the marketing choices they make. Children are educated, companies and bands are built, jobs are gained or lost, all because of what we know and don't know about spreading ideas. Am I trivializing these important events by implying that marketing is at the heart of the issue? I don't think so. I think that commercials and hype trivialize marketing, but in fact, my definition of marketing casts a much wider net. These issues are too important not to be marketed. It's easy for the media and the public to focus on a small child trapped in a well or on a wacky auction on eBay. Some ideas spread far and wide and have a huge impact, while others, ideas more valuable and urgent, seem to fade away. If marketers could tell a better story about the really urgent stuff, taking your medicine or sending peacekeepers where they belong, we would all benefit. If you care about the future of your company or band, your nonprofit, your church, or your planet, marketing matters. Marketing matters because whether or not you're in a position to buy a commercial, highlighted this part, if you've got an idea to spread, you're now a marketer. Key fact, and I think this is interesting. In 2003, pharmaceutical companies spent more on marketing and sales than they did on research and development. When it comes time to invest, it's pretty clear that spreading the ideas behind the medicine is more important than inventing the medicine itself. I think that's interesting. There are a lot of parallels with bands here, but right here, something that I see all the time, and especially when I was working as an engineer, bands would come in, they spend, you know, even if they had well, a lot of them had like reasonable budgets. So they'd come in, they spend several $100s getting a song tracked, mixed and mastered, the whole deal, right? But their marketing budgets are certainly dwarfed by the recording budget, which doesn't make sense. I think certainly now, a lot of time it makes more sense to spend more on marketing than on recordings, and the pharmaceutical companies would agree with me there. Okay, so back to the book. Before, during, and after the Golden Age. Before the Golden Age of television, marketing wasn't particularly important. Companies made commodities, things that people need. If you could make something that answered a need, was fairly priced and well distributed, you'd do just fine. Farmers didn't worry too much about marketing corn. Blacksmiths knew they'd do well if they could shoe a horse for a fair price, and the local barber cut hair. People bought stuff they needed, and those with a skill made money providing for their customers' needs. During the Golden Age, if you had enough money, you could buy a ton of television commercials and magazine ads and tell the story of your choice to each and every consumer. But you had to market to all the consumers at once. There were only 3 channels after all. You had 60 seconds to tell a simple story, and if you did a good job, you could create demand. Instead of satisfying a need, you could actually create a want. Now he goes into a bunch of references here, slogans and stuff that like none of us are going to understand because we're too young, but we'll skip that part. Television was a miracle. It enabled companies with money to effortlessly create more money. Consumers would gladly pay extra for Tony the Tiger or would wait in line to see the new 1954 Chevrolet. To grow your company, all you had to do was create a commercial that generated demand and then make something to sell. Businesses quickly recalibrated and fell in love with what they thought was marketing, using commercials to sell more stuff. Marketers had a great run. Truly average products were sold for significant markups because of good advertising. Entire industries were born. Stores were invented, the supermarket, just to sell the things that were now in demand because of commercials. This was the age of the mass market, when all consumers were equal and you could sell anything to everyone. The best brands told stories, but all products with decent ads made money. Then it fell apart. In a heartbeat, television commercials ceased to be the one-stop shop for all marketers. As consumers, we realized we don't trust commercials. We don't watch them, and we've got so many other ways to hear stories that they've lost their effectiveness. At the same time, though, marketing now is more powerful than it has ever been. That's because the new techniques have even more impact because they're more subtle. If you aren't doing as well as you'd like, it's probably because you're acting like the golden age is still here. It's not. In the last century, marketers fell in love with telling stories via commercials on television, and we forgot about other, more effective ways to spread our ideas. After the golden age, and what should be marketing's darkest hour, the industry has reinvented itself. This is a book about the new kind of marketing. It's about telling stories, not buying commercials. Marketing is the story, I highlighted this too, this is good. Marketing is the story marketers tell to consumers, and then maybe, if the marketer has done a good job, the lie consumers tell themselves and their friends. Those stories are no longer reserved for television commercials or junk mail. They are everywhere. Some marketers focus so hard on the facts of their offering that they forget to tell a story at all. I should have highlighted that. And then wonder why they failed. That's bands up and down. I mean, 100%. I've talked to like hundreds of artists now, and well, hundreds of hours within the last several months. And I've checked out every one of them's like social accounts, and 99.99% of them are just communicating like the facts of their band. We released a song, we're playing a show, we added a t-shirt to our merch store, like factual, but very, very little storytelling. So I'm going to read this again because pretty much all of you are making this mistake. Some marketers focus so hard on the facts of their offering that they forget to tell a story at all, and then wonder why they failed. I've spent the last year thinking about why some things spread and others don't. Why do some organizations and bands start strong and then falter, while others can gradually grow in importance and profit and keep it going forever? Marketers can no longer use commercials to tell their stories. Instead, they have to live them. Yes, marketing matters. It matters so much that we have an obligation to do it right. Marketing has become more powerful than it has ever been before. It's not an overstatement to say that marketing changes the world on a daily basis. I think it's time we figured out how to make it work the way it should. There's, of course, a lot more. But there was a section here where I highlighted up and down. You may be able to see it. I mean, pretty much these 2 pages, I highlighted like a motherfucker. So I'm going to read those, and I'm just going to read the top line stuff, and you guys can interpret it however the hell you want. But okay, so how marketing works when it works. Step 1, their worldview and frames got there before you did. Actually, I'm going to go a little bit more into this because some of this I think needs elaboration. A consumer's worldview affects the way he notices things and understands them. If a story is framed in terms of that worldview, he's more likely to believe it. Step 2, people only notice the new and then make a guess. Consumers notice something only when it changes. Step 3, first impressions start the story. A first impression causes the consumer to make a very quick, permanent judgment about what he was just exposed to. Step 4, great marketers tell stories we believe. The marketer tells a story about what a consumer notices. The story changes the way the consumer experiences the product or service, and he tells himself a lie. Consumers make a prediction about what will happen next. Consumers rationalize anything that doesn't match that prediction. And step 5, marketers with authenticity thrive. I highlighted all over this one. The authenticity of the story determines whether it will survive scrutiny long enough for the consumer to tell the story to other people. Sometimes marketing is so powerful that it can actually change the worldview of someone who experiences it. But no marketing succeeds if it can't find an audience that already wants to believe the story being told. Shit.